So what we're going to talk about is automating Teams provisioning using basically Microsoft Graph APIs for specific to groups and teams. So we're going to talk about the entire life cycle of why we need to keep a standard practice for for creating teams in any organization and how to do it. So I have my colleague here with me, Aditya, and yeah, we some little before we start, a little bit about ourselves. So we both work at Rapid Circle, and bit about me, I love community events. I've been volunteering for few communities for the past almost 5 years, and I'm a tech enthusiast. I like playing around with mostly Azure and tech stack. And yeah, Aditya, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, hello everyone. My name is Aditya Deshpande. I work with Rapid Circle as a cloud consultant, and I'm a freelance photographer as well. So, yeah, let's save some time on that, and I would really appreciate if everyone can have their questions, and let's try to keep the session interactive. And please raise your hands whenever you feel like you have a question or you have a comment, or you can correct us if we are going wrong. So please try to keep the session interactive. Thank you.
Okay, I just realized that I did not share my screen. So yeah, so yeah, let's start. So Aditya and we have been working for most of the last year for building the solution, and why this is required is because in especially during the current times, we have seen that a lot of organizations have been stepping into using Teams for for their everyday work, right? So it's very important that there is a proper um, standard set of practices in place to make sure that there is no havoc in place. There are not a lot of teams getting provisioned without without having a lot of prop like there might be multiple duplicate teams and all those things, and it is also overload on the admins to create teams manually for every business use case or project. So the idea is to make a entire automated life cycle from the process of requesting teams to provisioning them and getting them ready for the employees use. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is we're going to just walk through the graph APIs that we have in place already for doing achieving this, and then Aditya can give you a demo of the solution that we have built. So yeah, let's start. So starting with when we talk about automating things in in the Office 365 suite, we know that it's not possible. We need an AD app to achieve it. So to make sure that it uses a proper designated credentials to do that, rather than just using any user credentials. It's important that we use a AD or SPN credentials, right? So the first thing so that we are going to discuss when it comes to automation is this. So I'll just brief you through. A lot of people who are accustomed to these things may already know what I'm talking about. But if you are new to this, I'll just walk you through the process of creating an AD app and how to configure it to use it for making your graph calls. So yeah, so if you see, here's my Active Directory. Um, so to save us some time, I've already created an app registration in our AD. So it's just a basic, just go to new registration, give out the details, and create an app. And what you do is you add the necessary API permissions. Now, this is what plays the most important role. You're basically supposed to, whichever APIs that you want to access through this AD app will have their own set of permissions required in your tenant or organization. So you can just add them from a request API permissions. Now, how to find out which API permission is required for your API? You can just easily get it from the documentation. So if you see here, it's listed in permissions in the order from most privileged to least privileged. So that you can just get them, can just have them, you can jot them down and decide which API you need, API permission you need. And yeah, so for the purpose of this application, we just need group read write all. So we basically want to create Office 365 groups and teams. So group read write all basically covers all of them. So I've just added it and granted admin consent, and I've generated a client secret. You can also do it with certificates, whatever is the norm with your organization. So yeah, so now that we have it, I'll just show you how to get an access token based on this. So it's a basic OAuth access OAuth call to get an access token. So we've just given the client ID and client secret for this particular app that we just saw, and we've given the tenant ID. So once we just send the request, we have got the access token. So this access token is important for us for all these APIs that we're going to talk about. So once we have this in place, we can use it to create and to make any kind of graph calls that we need. So moving on to the actual APIs. So creating teams with a graph is very is, we have a lot of variety. So and a lot of ways to do it. So it depends on your use case as well. There can be teams that you want to create from scratch, a basic team with just one general channel. So there can be teams that need some custom channels for every for your particular business use case, or you may need some particular some applications to be installed in your channel as a tab or something like that. Then you can also have some teams which so Microsoft also provides a lot of basic templates, so you may need to just use them, and there's a lot of customization that is available. You can also do create a team with just if there's already a group existing, Office 365 group that exists, then you can just create a team with that Office 365 group on top of that. So there's a lot of flexibility that we have in place. So I'll just walk you through all the APIs. So first one is creating a basic team. We'll just give the name. So this is a standard team. This won't have any let's say we won't have any custom or any required template or channels as such. It will just give us a general channel. So we will just given a name, description, and one owner. So this owner is Alan that I've already added. So this person should get added as the owner when we create it. So let's go ahead and create. Yeah, got 202. Just got a thing that team. So you can see here that Teams demo app, which is our AD app, has added to a team. So yeah, you can see that the team has been created and it's a basic team. So similarly, we can create a custom team as well, like the one I talked about, the same endpoint, but you specify in the body what kind of team it's supposed to be. So this is still a standard template, but you can see that we have all sorts of channels added here. So announcements, training with the description, And now this channel also has a tab which is required for it, and we also have some installed applications that we need in this team. So once we just call this uh, call this API, we can just create a team which has all these channels that we need. So I think this is the same user. Yeah, you can see that the sample engineering team has been created. Okay, we don't have the channels yet. Let's see. So it just takes some time for things to get reflected in this. Yeah, let's wait for a while. Meanwhile, we can move on and come back to this. Um, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I think I did. No, I called the right API. Let's wait. It takes some time. So, yeah. Now, moving on to the other way in which we can create a team is with groups. So if your organization already has some groups that are pre-existing, or if you prefer these teams endpoints are actually fairly new in V1. So previously, in fact, when we started building this product, these all these APIs were actually in beta, so we've avoided using them. But so what we usually do is we create a group and then we teamify that group. So we just create a basic Office 365 group, and upon that we add a out of the box template, or if we want it from scratch, so we do that on top of this. This is not coming. Yeah, it's coming on slowly, I guess, because this app just got installed. So we have the here. So yeah, it's taking some time. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, coming back to groups. So here again, this is again a basic team. We'll just create a basic group, Office 365 group, with this the same user as an owner. And if you see, okay, what's wrong? Not sure why this is happening now. We'll try a new name.
Can you check the token in that and the
Yeah,
headers and the
just say
headers?
yep.
I believe you will need a pair. Okay.
This is setting it. It's not a problem. Okay, let me check. Let's see if we can add more privileged permission to the app, and let's try with that. So we'll go for application permissions and we'll try directory.py.all. Oh, this should work. We'll grant admin consent. let's get the token again. Let's try again. Okay. So I think the permission was not enough for this. Should be, but I'm not sure. So yeah, the group is created. Now we just need the ID of this group to create a team on top of this group. So most of the APIs for this are pretty much similar. So there are again two ways to do this. One is with the group endpoint itself. We can just give the ID in the team group ID basically and fire up the team endpoint, or with the teams endpoint that we saw earlier we can do the same one, the one that we saw here. So you can do the same thing. You can just bind this particular group to this team that will be created. So if you fire this, um,
You need to change the group ID.
oh right, sorry. Yeah, so you see it's accepted, and yeah, you can see this is the group that we created. So a team has been created on top of it, and it was a standard team. Yeah, so you can see here the channels are all here now. So with Teams APIs, it does take a few seconds at least, or at least 1 minute for things to get propagated.
Provisioned.
Yeah. So yeah, so you can see here we talked about this that we have these custom channels. So you can see that all these channels have been added, and we also added a couple of uh, applications, right? So this is one of them. So we can see all of them here. And yeah, now going on to creating group team on top of a group with an out of the box templates. So out of the box templates are basically, so let's go and check out documentation again for this. So Microsoft provides a variety of pre-built teams. So you can just build on top of these. So these pretty much cover a lot of business use cases, and they have some set of apps and channels that are required. You can always build on top of this, but you can use this as your template. So again, they all vary with the required team properties and the channel and the permissions for every template can be different. So all of this information can be found in the documentation. You can see it here, and there are a lot of new templates also they've added recently. So you can they just growing it, especially with the current scenario, keeping that in mind. So you can see like the healthcare ward is what we have used here. So if we fire this, and we will get all these channels along with this app. So let's create a new uh, app. Just create a team of Office 365 group, and we'll use the same one to create. So here is the ID of team. See, um, yeah, going back to the team. Yeah, you can see here the healthcare team has been created. Yeah, let's see. like we saw, it will take around a minute to propagate. So yeah, we can come back to see this. So similarly, now coming on to the most common use case that we see in organizations is creating a team from a custom template. So every before that, just like to give us quick note to this. So the same way we created a custom team before with teams, we can create a custom team on top of a group as well, existing group. It's the same thing. We just add this group binding, nothing else. The entire schema and all can be the same as before. We just add a binding for the group. So yeah, now coming to the custom templates. So so this is the most common use case that we have seen in our clients, and it is that every organization, they would like their own set of channels and apps. They can have their own inbuilt apps and all those things. So uh, they prefer to have uh, their own custom templates. So to achieve that, the most best, I would say the most easiest way to do it was with a clone API. So what the clone API does is we basically give it a team. We can make a existing template. So for example, we can consider this as a template. So we want all our teams to have these four extra channels by default, along with these apps that we mentioned before. So if we want that, we can treat this as a custom template, and we can use the clone API to make teams out of this one. So it's a pretty straightforward approach here as well. So I'll what you just need to do is, we'll just need to get the group ID, that is the team ID of this particular team. That will be our sample custom template. So for this sample engineering team, I'll just copy the group ID, and we will use it here. Is this right? Just cross check. Yeah, looks good. So yeah, let's call it demo clone team, and so here we can also specify what parts to clone. So it's possible that you just need the tabs and not the apps. You want to add your own set of apps. So you may not even need the tabs. You just need the channels. So you can always do that. And settings, it takes ahead all the settings that you have added to this team. So if we add any such member permissions or anything such like that that we customize, it should all get propagated here. So it's pretty handy to customize it as you require it. So let's create and clone. Yeah, so team has been created. Yeah, you can see it has all the channels that we needed added, and it has these wiki tabs as well that we had in the other team. And I think the apps would still be getting added. Yeah. So yes, so one thing to remember with clone API is, and this is something that uh, we we kind of had to dig in to find out, is when we are creating with clone API, what we need to understand is when we are creating it with an AD app, that is through an automated thing, it always creates the so I I actually did not specify the members anywhere here. You see that. So this particular user, Alan, should never have been added to this. So even though I said that we want to create clone this team, we never mentioned the members. We can actually, member is also a part of this, but we did not mention that. So why did this particular user get added to it? So this is because we are using the clone not through a user. We are not calling the API through user permissions. We are calling it through AD app permissions. So when it is created through any automated channel, what it does is it adds at least one. It randomly selects one owner from the custom template or the team which we are using to clone, and it adds it to the created team. But in case if we can always like we did before, we can always add the owners required for this team here, and then that would not happen. But just for the purpose of this demo, I'll just kept it as is, so that we'll just show it here. So yes, I think we have covered pretty much all the APIs. We have seen creating team with teams endpoint and with with a group, and we have seen custom templates as well. One thing to see was coming to custom templates was that recently Microsoft also uh, made it easier for adding custom templates to through admin center for teams. So if you see here, this is a teams admin center. So admins can just add a custom template from here. So these are the out of the box templates, and you have the UI to create an existing team as a template, and you can start with an existing template. That is, you can pick up from any of the, then you can just use the base template ID of it, and you can just customize on top of the channels that are already there in that template. So if this is there, you'll automatically get it in available in the organization. If so, you can use the base template ID for your created team template, and you can just use the call here. So you can just add that base template ID here and do that. But this is fairly new, so we haven't tested it a lot, but you can definitely give it a try. So,
Yeah, one quick question, Aditya and Aishwarya.
yeah.
Like,
Sure.
how this, governance side, for example, global admin rights, it's required for generating API keys and everything. For example, like if you're taking a clone, you just required a SharePoint and Teams admin privilege, or still you require a global admin privilege. Just give an insights on that permission side. Yeah.
Um, right. So we do need global admin for just granting admin consent. Apart from that, in the entire life cycle, we don't need it. We need application admin at some point. So this is a one-time process for deploying, but after that, the solution does not use it anywhere. Once Aditya shows you the demo, you'll get a better picture of what permissions are needed. But we are just adding these permissions to the AD app, and the AD app is responsible for creating the teams. So there is no manual user intervention anywhere in the process. I think we have one more question. Yeah, Abhishek. So Shiva, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Abhishek, you wanted to ask something?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
If we have a you know kind of large company and they haven't can they give access to the external people and using teams by provisioning multiple teams, and each will have I heard like 1 terabyte or something like that. So cost wise, how does it all work out?
Right.
So I believe this solution will just create a team for you. This is just a mode of creating teams for you. The rest of the expenses and the cost estimation on those things, they will remain same. It will be like if you create a team for your users, these teams will interact and react in the very same way as you would have created them for your external users. So
You're just using this. It's like writing a script to
yeah,
provisioning
yeah,
teams.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah,
One question. Uh,
sure.
so like, yeah, so I'm quite new to this Azure web apps and all. So how do you expose this thing, these calls which you are sending from Postman to a application? So I was saying, like, if you want to expose that in a React application and call those graph APIs from there and register that React app in Azure, is that possible?
Yeah. So basically, from React API, you can, if you want to do this from a React app, you will have a HTTP client over there, right? So in that HTTP client, you can have the URL set with whatever API URLs that Aishwarya has shared with us. And in the authorization part, you can set the access token or the client ID client secret. You can fetch the access token from the client ID client secret. It is also HTTP request. You can get the token, store it somewhere safe, or acquire it on the fly, and then use that access bearer token to make HTTP requests.
Okay, okay. So, and what is the generic standard which we are using in the industry? What is the recommended way, if not the React?
So I will come to that thing, that point in the demo. We have a solution ready. So I will take this up in the demo, how we are doing it, and
Sure,
how
sure.
we are how Rapid Circle is providing this thing as a SaaS solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming to that, since most of the questions were about how the entire life cycle works. So what the solution that we have built is on top of this existing Microsoft template. So the if you see the Office dev uh, in this repository, they have already created a request a team app template, which basically takes care of this entire process by leveraging the APIs that I just spoke about. So yeah, I think Aditya, can you take it ahead from here?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, so I'll quickly share my screen. So I will talk a bit about the architecture that we have. So we will have a Power App and a Power Automate flow. We will have a SharePoint site as a data storage for us, and a couple of Azure resources, mainly a Logic app. I will walk through everything. So what gateway that we are using? So this is what we have. We have a Power App over here, and there are two ways to create a team, either by using a Scratch, which is let's say the standard way of doing things, the standard template is from the Scratch, and or you can use a template to create a team. So all these configurations of the solution, we are storing it in a SharePoint list. So also we have this thing deployed for a couple of customers. So they have some custom requirements. They want sensitivity labels around. They want to provision document sets or apply custom tabs to particular channels or teams. So all those configurations we are keeping it here, and depending on the flags for the teams, whatever we want, those configurations are kept over here. And then about the templates, like in this part of the Power App, we are going to use templates. So we need the configuration for all the templates somewhere. So this is where the out of the box templates are kept, and we are treating them as the first party templates. And the way Aishwarya created a Office 365 group and exposed that as a team, and she chose to use it as a team. So in that way, I have created a custom team of mine, and I am using it as a template. So what I did here, I created a custom template in the same list of the template configuration, and just provided the team ID of that thing, very similar to what Ashwarya did. I gave a quick description, but this is not a first party template. This is what we are creating. So we are treating it as a no. I'll come to this in the flow part. And this is a list of requests that we are getting. So whenever you create a request for a team, that request comes here as a new item in the SharePoint list, and we take it ahead from there. So in the very first session of Prashant did talk about integration and ease of logic apps and Power Automate, which one should see, which one to use, which one to not use, and all those things. So from integration point of view, we have a flow as well. So we have two flows here. So two flows which are responsible for checking if the team is available. So this is where the solution comes into picture. We do not want duplicate teams in the system and all. So checking if that team is available, you can create it or not. So we have a flow for that. And the part of approving, like you cannot simply start creating random teams. There has to be some governance. Somebody should be able to approve it. So we have a flow for that, which will be triggered when a new item is generated and a new item in this list is added. So a flow will pick it up, and it will send a approval flow to the administrator. And as soon as this person responds, the team will be set as a green team, and the logic app will take it ahead from there. So yeah, so I will create three types of teams. So one from scratch, and two with a template, one with out of the box template, and one with a custom template of mine. So let's go ahead with a scratch team. I will keep its visibility to public, so anybody in the organization can join it. Let's give it a name. So use scratch team. So let's say there are a couple of faculties, like there could be marketing, there could be sales, there could be technical. So we want to differentiate in that. So we have some sort of differentiation and grouping here. So if this name if there is a team with this name already available, this will not return a true. And this check availability will trigger the flow, and yeah, check availability just triggered 5 seconds ago, and it succeeded. It tells us, yeah, the team is good to go, the team is available. So team from demo is good. And I'll create a team. So here we will, like Ashwara told, like while creating a team, we need at least one owner. So I'll be adding a couple of users and owners to the team. So let's say Megan and Alex. Let's also add a member to it. And yeah, so this is a quick summary of what we are going to do. We are going to create a team with a template, standard template. Visibility is public. There is no confidential data involved. This is regarding the sensitivity label part, which is not part of this solution at this moment. The owners and members, reason and description that we gave. I'll submit this request, and yeah. So it's a log of requests which are submitted, like this is submitted. So there's a flow, team request approval, and it is running. So I, as an administrator, got a pending approval for approving a team with the name new Scratch team. I will approve this and I will submit this. So yeah, this is submitted, and in this list we get so new team Scratch is the demo purpose, and team is approved for creation. So this Power App here, this Logic app here is set to run when an item is created or modified, but we do not want it to flood with everything. So we have scheduled it to run after every 1 hour. Of course, you can modify that. And I'm running a manual trigger here, and it is running. Should take a couple of minutes. And by the time I will take you to the Megan user, so she was the owner of the team. So we should be able to see team here. And let's also see where the logic app is. Yeah, so couple of variables that we need. We are getting the IDs and client IDs, client secrets for the AD app from the key vault that we have provisioned for the solution, and a couple of graph calls that we do here. It is right now checking if the template is of what type. It is not a clone template, so it's doing a couple of things here. So I will not go much in deeper the logic. So let's just say it's creating a team. So whatever APIs that Aishwarya has shared with us, we have added those APIs in this logic app. And based on the HTTP trigger, let's say, let's find one of that. And yeah, so for security reasons, we do not have this, but yeah, so it creates a group. So let's say that method says we're creating a group. So a group with this ID is created. This response is very similar to what Aishwarya shared with us. So the mode of things like how we can deal with the APIs at this question. So this is exactly what we do. We in the React application, we can do the same thing. We can have a HTTP client from where we can trigger the request, and it will create a group for us. We are waiting for the group to provision, and we'll go ahead. So there are a couple of things in case of templates and all those things. So for everything, we have a HTTP call, which is secured with the client ID and client secret of the AD application. And in the demo, we also saw if we do not have the sufficient privileges, we are not able to create the group. We have access denied to it. And that's takes a couple of minutes.
So one thing I would like to add is that you could see when Aditya showed the HTTP call, we were not able to see the input. So we had a question like how it comes in the security and governance point of view. So by default in the Logic app, if we add the authentication mode for the HTTP call as a Active Directory app, it makes it secure by itself. It's out of the box. So there is if we have the client ID and client secret. So that's how we do. We have the client ID and client secret stored in a Azure Key Vault, and the Logic app is using it from there. So it's entirely secure. No one who is even going through the logs can be able to see what the exact credentials were of the AD app.
So the new Scratch team is created, and we have a message that the team is created using this app. So this can be customized. We have these configurations in the settings. You can have a custom message for yourself. You can also, by all means, you can add a new block to the Power App, and you can go ahead with that. So yeah, so that is very much of it, and I will try to create. Yeah, so the status here was submitted, and is the team is created. Yeah, so I'll try creating a team using template. I will choose a custom template of mine. So it will this is a template that will create a team based on my team template. So I have that team here. My team template, it has my another channel, and my channel has two channels. So it will use this particular template, and it will create a team. So again, the rest of the flow remains same. We will create a public team, and we'll create a group, and team with custom template. I believe this name is available. Yeah. So demo team with demo. Yeah, so I'll add the same users, Megan, and let's flip to here. Yeah, so going ahead. So now the template type is my custom template, and this thing will be taken care of in the Logic app, like getting the template ID. Earlier it was standard. So whatever the template ID for this thing is available, it will pick that up from the Logic app. Rest of the things remain same. And we'll check the status. It's submitted. Should get a flow here. Mm. Yeah. Okay. So I have a flow approval for the custom template team. I'll just submit it. This entirely remains the same. Also, we can direct this thing to a custom channel of a particular team. Let's say we have an administrative team. So we can direct all these flows to that particular channel. And if we have a group of administrators who are, let's say of 5 administrators, some or the other one is available, they can pick that up, and we do not have to be waiting for that. And for some clients, we also have this thing like they do not have the entire process of approval. Anything you put in, that is being approved. So we can also get rid of the approval flow and directly put the request in this list as approved. So there is no issue with that as well. So this is totally configurable. And what I will do, I will also add one more request here, like fresh. So this team is now in the team creation phase, and if at all you have a failed team, so it will provide you with a reason why, if the SharePoint site exists, so it will just mark that team as failed. You can by all means replicate that team. You can clone that thing. So from you had a request, you want to have the same team with a couple of configurations, you can clone that as well. So your request will be cloned. So creating a team from templates takes a bit of time because it has to get the template, get the data from it, and then create a team. So I will also provision a team with a out of the box template, let's say company wide. Next, I want it to be public, so everybody can join. And a box team, and it the purpose is demo gain. So we have just safeguarded this thing. So if the team is not available, or we cannot bypass that, so user has to check it if the team is available. And yes, it is available. So it is creating again because I have logged with the user and Alex. I can entirely choose to skip members here, and I will do that. I will not add any member to that. So these owners are later on responsible for adding the members to the team, and I'll submit that. Let's wait on this thing. And okay, so yeah, so the out of the box template team has been pending for approval. I'll approve that. If at all you want to store a comment or something on that, like for what reason you are rejecting it, you can by all means do that as well. You just have to configure it in the share flow, handle that case in the flow. Like if you're rejecting it, why you are rejecting it. So admins who are rejecting the teams can give a reason why the team is rejected, or let's say somebody is creating a team for unreasonable cases. So those things can be handled there. And I will run the trigger again. So yeah, so we have both our teams in line. So both the template teams will be created. By the time I will take a quick walk through the resource group. So there about the governance part, we have a couple of things. In Prashant's session, we had a question like, what if I want to have automation thing running, or some Azure resources that you want to interact with. So which is the best bet, like the Power App, or the Logic app, or the Power Automate? So we are kind of implementing that here. So we have a couple of run books for checking if the site exists or not, and a couple of features which are not part of this thing. We are skipping it from the demo purpose. So we need to enable some site features. We want to get some grids, or enable content types, add content types, or such things. So these are the runbooks which are triggered or managed by the automation account. And this automation account has the credentials and app ID, app secrets refer to it. And we have a key vault where we are storing everything that is secured. So anything happens, so that is taking care of the client ID, client secret. And here what we have connectors and API connectors for all the blocks of codes, such as like the SharePoint getting the item from the list, or I'll open this in another tab. So For governance, like certainly you don't want a global admin to do all these things. So let's say you have a SharePoint connector here. So we do not want a global admin to have this thing. So what we can do, we can have a service account which is dedicated to this particular solution, and we will authenticate all these API connectors with that service account, and all the logical connectors here, like the Office 365, the Key Vault, or the SharePoint. All these connectors can be authenticated against those particular users. Let's say a dedicated service account, and yeah, that is one thing we can have. So this is very much the architecture of it. And let's see, where have we reached? Looking at the logs, it should take somewhere around 8 minutes. So I believe we are getting out of time. So if anybody has any questions till these things are happening, can take that up. Okay, yeah. So the teams are also created. So this was my custom team with 2 channels, and this is the out of the box team with the healthcare template for, I don't remember what template I chose. So company wide it was. So whatever the things were in that, they have been added to this thing. So very similar to what Aishwarya did and the APIs. So yeah, so that is very much of the solution that we have. Also, we get a notification, and yeah. So any questions that we can help? I mean, answer here.
Yeah, so like as I asked, like, my question was more around like how do we expose this to the external user? So still,
Okay.
like, yeah,
So this is a Power App. Okay. So if you want your external users or organization employees to interact with this thing, Power Apps can be exported as a package, and you can also add the Power App to your particular team. So you can add a more app, and you need to be an administrator for this thing, or somebody with that. So you can add a Power App here, and you just need to import the package, and you can so this will add everything that my organization has, but you can add a custom app here, and that can be done as well. So we have done this. We have imported our custom Power App, and we can do that here as well. So this is one thing. Also, if your organization is using Power App, so you can have their Power App on their mobile devices, and they can use it from there or from a browser as well. You can also add Power Apps to a particular team. Let's say I want to add a Power App here, so you can add it here as well. And yeah.
and in the teams will provide the external access. That is what you're saying.
So
Uh,
if I'm not very
yeah, go
sure
ahead.
about the question. What do you mean is provisioning through your tenant to another tenant, to an external tenant? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm trying to put the question like some external user will put a request from their end without the tenant.
Mm.
We want to
Okay.
expose that functionality and create a team in our tenant after the approval.
Okay. Yeah. So, like Aditya mentioned, if you just expose if that particular user, external user, is added as a guest and is given access to the Power App, then they'll be able to create request.
But that only works if the external user have a license to Power Apps, right? If they do not have,
Right. Right. They will need an access to a license to access the Power App. So, I think it would also be a limitation with admin perspective, because usually these resources are not shared. There's no option to directly share as well. So in that case, from an interest perspective, you might need to make some changes.
Yeah, that is why like my first question was like if we host that from somewhere outside the React app or somewhere, we can call the logic apps and all from there, right? Can we do that?
Yes, yes, you
Yeah,
can call
yeah.
the logic app from there.
You can
Okay.
instead of or you can connect if you want to create a separate database rather than SharePoint, because or you can just give that person access to the SharePoint list or the site that you're using, and the rest of the things will be the same, or you can expose the logic app to be triggered from a HTTP request rather than from SharePoint.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. I'll keep it.
Sure. So, any other questions?
How it works if it is like probably multiple domains or something. So in the case,
Hmm, we haven't tried this actually with multiple domains, but uh, when you create these resources, you're creating it with your own domain. Let's say all those things which are running here are in context of this particular domain only. So I don't think like inter-domain you will be able to do that, which is very similar to what the previous question was, like an external user. We won't have those rights, so I don't think that would be possible. Yet we will have to explore this thing. We will have to explore this thing.
So when you're creating a new app registration with AD app, you have the capability to keep it as a multi-tenant as well. So the one that I showed was a single tenant just for this tenant, but you can have a multi-tenant as well. But the graph does have some limitations when it comes to multi-tenant operations. But yeah, like I said, we haven't worked a lot with it, so that is something we'll have to explore.
okay.
I think shall we conclude if there are no other questions? If there are any, you can just contact us on Twitter or LinkedIn, or just drop us a mail.